Hi guys, welcome to Prati'sArt. In this video, we're going to be drawing a mother elephant and a baby elephant to celebrate Mother's Day. Okay, so first I chose my reference photo and then I added a grid on top digitally. I'll be posting both the grid making tool and the reference photo down below in the description if you guys want to check that out. After that, I just made the grid and stuck the tape on the paper. Also, if you'll notice, the paper I'm using is a toned gray paper. It's actually my second time using this paper, so I was so excited. And actually, my mom is the one who got me this paper, so thank you so much, Ma. So here, after I just finished drawing the rough shape of the elephants, I'm gathering all of my gray, brown type color pencils and I'm erasing my grid lines so I can go ahead and start coloring. So as you can see here, this coloring is all about layers. So I did a really thin layer of this brownish gray to start the drawing off, and then I'm adding more lines on top with the same color. Now that we finished with the first couple layers and all of the lines, here comes the more tedious part. I used all of my different grays and browns, and then I darkened each individual line with a black color pencil, and I shaded inside and outside the lines, trying to create the same look as the reference picture. As you can see here, I also finished the tusk, which was fairly simple. I didn't even try to blend anything out because I wanted that really rough feel. So I did a white background, and then I just went with my gray and did a couple of lines. But the white was really surprising for me because typically on a normal piece of white paper, you wouldn't really be able to see the difference between the white on the tusk and the white on the paper. But since I was using a toned paper, I could definitely see the difference, and it was just amazing to see how much of a contrast it was to the paper. So I definitely recommend getting this toned gray paper. Moving on to the baby elephant, I basically did the same thing as the mother elephant with a thin layer of the base color, which was a lighter gray. Afterward, I added a bunch of lines to create some texture. And here is one of my biggest tips for these types of drawings. Typically, the lines will be very detailed, and it'll be very hard to try to replicate each and every line. So if you're using a bigger piece of paper and you have that type of time and dedication to replicate each line, then that's completely fine. But otherwise, try to put the lines where they make sense. So instead of thinking about how to replicate each line exactly where it is, try to think about where the lines are and where the skin stretches. So that way, even if your drawing isn't exactly same as the reference, the lines still make sense and you still get the same effect of the elephant skin. That was a really long explanation, but I hope that made sense. Now moving on to the baby elephant's ears, I started off with a very light coat of dark gray. Then I went ahead with other lighter grays on top to create the coloring for the ear. I also added lots of shadows and shading with the dark blacks And I added highlights with whites and light grays. Typically, I don't use white too often in a drawing except when I need to blend something out. But for this drawing, I found myself using white a lot because the white stood out a lot in this paper. So I used white, especially in between the lines of the trunk. I wanted each line to stand out and each wrinkle to feel separate. So I added lots of shadows and lots of whites in between the lines. Now, this part in the drawing was the most challenging for me because the trunk wrinkles were very straightforward and they were all going in the same direction, but the ones in the foot were a little bit different since the skin was pulling in different directions. Other than the difference in the placement of the wrinkles, everything else was pretty much the same with the layering and the coloring. When I finished with all of the coloring, I went ahead and retraced all of the wrinkles that I drew with a black color pencil. Once I completely finished with both of the elephants, I erased all of the grids in the background to start doing the background coloring. Typically, I like to do a detailed background or just do no background at all, but I really wanted to do a very light, subtle background for this drawing because I really wanted to add details like hair, but I didn't want the background to distract from the actual elephants. And that's basically it. Here's the finished drawing. And that's it for this video. I really hope you guys liked it. I'll see you in my next one. Bye!